walking in their football boots.
Yeah.
Ricky Shakes here.
Hope Jeffrey can see this.
Baz Savage here. I like the arm up at the end, that's good. That's where So on last week's show we asked the question, who invented the moonwalk? We had loads of emails of one name that kept cropping up, was Shalimar's Jeffrey Daniel. We thought we'd try and track him down and ask him if he did in fact invent the moonwalk. He now lives in Japan, but we found out he was in the UK touring. How cool is that?
Hello.
So we invited him down to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeffrey Daniel. Now, welcome to the show. Now, before we speak to you, what we've tried to do is, because we looked into the history of the moonwalk, we've made a little film about it. So if you could watch us and then correct it if there's anything wrong. Here you go, this is our film.
Mention the term moonwalking, and most people instantly think of Michael Jackson. But did you know that the move has been around for over 70 years? The origins of the moonwalk, or backsliding as it was first known, actually date back to the 1930s, when jazz musician Cab Calloway began to use a style of backwards walking during his live performances. But around the same time, French actor Jean-Louis Barrault was teaching people how to mime walking against a strong wind, where they would be moving backwards whilst appearing to be walking forwards. But the move we now know as moonwalking was first seen in 1955, when tap dancer Bill Bailey incorporated it into his routine. For this reason, he is known by most experts as the man who invented it. In 1979, US dancer and singer Jeffrey Daniel brought the move to the public eye once more, when he moonwalked during his performances on hit American TV shows Soul Train and American Bandstand. He became so good at it that a young Michael Jackson actually asked him and co-dancer Derek Cooley Jackson to teach him the move. And on May 16, 1983, on an American show called Motown 25, Michael Jackson used the moonwalk for the first time during his performance of Billie Jean. But a British audience actually saw moonwalking on television a year earlier, during Jeffrey Daniel's performance of Shalimar's song A Night to Remember on Top of the Pops.
How accurate do you think that film was? Pretty accurate?
I would love to see more of that clip of that Bill Bailey. That was amazing. I had no idea that was going on back then.
Really?
Yeah, I had never seen that before.
Yeah.
So like, wow, I would love it, yeah.
Oh, good. Who taught you how to moonwalk?
We were street dancing, the Electric Boogaloos, who invented the whole popping thing. One of the members, they did the backslide, and it was more of a scoot thing. So I didn't invent the actual step, but when I saw it, because I was doing it on stage with Shalimar, I put the longer strides into it because I had to cover the entire stage. And so I'm smoothing it out a bit, you know.
Okay, what's the difference between body popping and breakdancing?
Breakdancing is spinning on the floor, spinning on your head, and it's more of an acrobat. Body popping is a dance, and it's, you can do it consistently for 6 records straight or whatever, and it has to do with the locking of the joints. That's why it's called popping. It's the popping. It's the popping of the joints, and that's where popping comes from.
Brilliant. All right, so you started dancing in an American TV show, Soul Train.
Right.
You ended up presenting Soul Train in England as well, didn't you?
Right.
Many moons ago. How did Shalimar come about?
Shalimar came about because the producer of Soul Train, Don Cornelius, started a record company. And then they put a song together, and they wanted a group to, you know, go behind the song. So they selected me first, and they asked me, did I know a girl who could sing? Jody Watley hadn't sang yet. I had to teach her how to sing. And then we incorporated, there were 2 other singers before Howard Hewitt actually came into the lineup. And then once it was myself, Jody Watley, and Howard Hewitt, that became like the Shalimar, that with the hits.
And were you singing as well as dancing before, or do you think you were selected because of your dancing first?
Because of my showmanship, that had a lot to do with it. But I was always singing. My mother was a pianist in church, so I was always singing in churches, choirs and things like that, in high school bands and the sort.
Okay, got to get back to 1982. First time on Top of the Pops was the first time anyone in this country had ever seen moonwalking on our TV. Why weren't the other members of the band there? Why was it just you? What had happened?
Well, at the particular time, Jody was pregnant, so Jody couldn't come over. Well, Shalimar couldn't come over as a whole, so I just came over by myself to represent our song, because our song was in the charts. And it worked out great, because I had a chance to show the UK a dance that no one had ever seen before.
What was the reaction after you'd done the... I mean, I sort of remember...
I remember
everyone going, my God, have you seen that guy on the stage?
Right after I did that, we flew to Amsterdam, Holland to continue to promote the record. The record company staff came banging on my door at Simon Frodsham. Jeffrey, everyone's looking for you. We got to go back to the UK. Oh, what's happened? That performance you did on Top of the Pops, man. Everybody's looking for you.
Yeah.
So
the only other thing which had that reaction was Boy George, wasn't it, on Top of the Pops?
Oh yeah, he's a
where
man.
we didn't know whether he was a man or a woman.
Yeah.
That's the only thing
Didn't they think that you'd done something to your shoes, that it wasn't real? Everybody was so freaked out about it. They thought that you'd done something.
When I was first doing it on stage in America with Shalimar, people couldn't work out what was happening. Like, they thought there was oil on the floor, or maybe a string was pulling me, or I had wheels on my shoes, because it's just something that people hadn't seen in that generation. Now that I know that Bill Bailey was doing it back then.
Yeah. Okay, you used to like hanging out in England, though. Is that true? You spent a lot of time over here?
I used to love coming here. I mean, the moment I got back to LA, I was just waiting for my next chance to fly back over, because it was so exciting what was happening in the music scene in the 80s with the different groups, ABC and Musical Youth and Culture Club, Duran Duran, Wham, and Dexy's Midnight Runners. I mean, you could just go on, Bow Wow Wow.
You used to hang out with them all, did you?
Oh yeah, at the Camden Palace every Thursday night. Steve Strange used to host it, and we'd all be at the Camden Palace. If you went to Camden Palace, that was Top of the Pops.
Right, okay. And is it true that when you were presenting Soul Train, Jonathan Ross was your PA?
That's right, Jonathan Ross was working with us on the 620 Soul Train in 1985. I hadn't been in the UK in a long time. I come back, and he's Mr. TV.
Yeah.
Like, that's the guy who used to get me pizza. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to talk to you about Michael Jackson in a minute, and you're hopefully going to give us a demonstration of your dancing.
Yes.
That's straight after the break. Jeffrey Daniel, everyone.